supposed to drive the cars. Like, they're not meant to be hauled around on the back of a flatbed. I don't want a trailer. I don't want to drive it. I want to do what it was meant to do and enjoy it. The Mars crew came over, and I think they really wanted to, you know, kind of experience what makes these Toyota wagons so special to me, what really draws me to such a kind of an oddball car. One thing I've noticed with all the Mars people is they tend to all have their own little, like, you know, niche car group that they're really a huge fan of, and I think this is a little bit different of something that they're not exactly used to. So I think they wanted to kind of come over and experience what it's like to daily drive these things, off-road them, go camping in them, things like that. I chased these cars for years, and then I finally found the first one off of the Tercel 4wheeldrive.com forum over in Connecticut. And it seems like once I got that one home and I started like tinkering with it and getting the hang of it, they just kind of would just come to me. It was like magnets, like they're just, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. And then I found like 5 of them in the like greater Grand Rapids, Michigan area within like 1 year, and inevitably I bought all of them except for one, which is still currently owned by my friend Alex. I definitely am the Michigan Toyota Tercel guy. I've had people from all across this state buy parts from me of all different kinds, really across the world. I shipped a differential to Japan a couple of years ago. I've shipped parts to Indonesia. I meet people all along my adventures with owning them, whether it's through social media or people at the gas station, and they're like, oh man, my first car was one of these. They were unstoppable in the snow, or I remember we were at an off-road park in like 1993 and there was this big blazer in the mud and I'm come bombing through it with my Toyota on snow tires and they couldn't believe what it was capable of. And just those kind of things are really cool. It's really cool to meet people that have had a history and have a, you know, even a mild connection with these cars that they may have forgotten about over time or something like that. And the Mars crew kind of wanted to go out and experience what it's like to own a 4-wheel drive Toyota Tercel, what it's like to hammer away on some trails and off the beaten path and in places that you can't really take any other sort of more modern, like enthusiast cars, I guess you could say. Out of all the cars I own, Thunderbucket is by far the perfect off-road car. I more or less built it to be that way with the snorkel, big lift kit, tires. I say big lift kit, but it's like 2 inches. They are actually, so the suspension setup on this is, it has 4-runner springs and RAV4 rear shocks and MR2 front shocks. And it does good, it's a good lift, but the problem is like when I load it up with a bunch of weight, it tends to sag a little bit, so I kind of threw those little spring helpers in it to give it a little bit of something to help out. You take what you can get sometimes when it comes to cars that don't really have lift kit options available. So we took Thunderbucket, hit the trails. Everything was completely frozen solid. The ground was solid ice. It had been warm a couple of days prior, and then it immediately dropped back down to like the teens and 20s during the day and night. So the entire trail system was a sheet of solid ice. John's truck couldn't even get up through half the trails, but old Toyota, she did it, as she always does. All 5 of us, because I had my girlfriend with me and all 3 of the Mars crew were with me, so 5 of us crammed in one little 80s Toyota Tercel wagon with 62 horsepower on aggressive mud tires. The only way I could really get through with really aggressive mud tires is momentum. So I chose the momentum route because that's the way I go. I overcome the obstacle and hammer away. I had it in like first, maybe second gear, just giving it all the beans, doing what I could to keep it going through these trails. We made it a couple of miles through this trail system, and down one of the final hills. There's a hill on this side and a hill on this side, and it kind of comes down and meets in the middle. And right there's a giant tree and like a hairpin turn. And the one off to the left leads over to a lake shore, like a boat access. And the one straight up ahead leads further along some other cool trails. It was pretty fun because we had enough momentum coming down that hill, and the cars being 4-wheel drive, I was able to just kind of hang it right, almost like 4-wheel drive drifted around the corner, which is a blast. I love doing that in the wintertime. I kept my momentum going as we kind of flew around this corner. And here we are! So after we got down to the boat landing part, I think John was a little bit traumatized of my driving or maybe the trails or the ice or the combination of all three. And so he was like, I'm walking back to the truck. He's like, I'll get some more shots of you guys as you guys come back. Generally over this hill, there's a bunch of different areas where like water kind of collects and stuff like that. So we were hoping to get like a cool action shot of Thunderbuckets splashing through some, mud or snow water or ice or mud or ice water or something like that. And couldn't really find anything, unfortunately. So that was when we turned around and decided to make our way back. As we were coming back over the hill, I was doing maybe 15 miles an hour, so I wasn't necessarily like flying, I guess, by my standards on trails. And then we came up over the hill where the tree's at the very bottom where the road forks off. And we get to the very tip of the hill and I hit the brakes and it was like the car accelerated because it's an old car, no ABS, nothing like that. And the car just went faster. And I was like, great. So I kind of pumped the brake pedal a few times and was like, nope, that's not doing anything. Cranked the wheel to the right, and it just literally acted like I was just on a train track, like I was on the car wash, something like that. The car was like, nope, you're going this way, doesn't matter. And all I remember is being like, we're probably gonna hit that tree. Came up over the hill, and as we get to the very, very tip of it, I started slowing down, and it was just a solid sheet of ice. There was more or less nothing I could do. The hill kind of goes straight down. There's a little bit of a curve to it, but nothing major. And at the very, very bottom of the hill, it kind of forks up and goes left and right. The left side's going over to the beach area, like there's like a boat launch. And then the right area goes up a hill. And the car stalled, which was whatever, it was in gear, so fired the car back up, and thankfully everything was good. I didn't see any major issues other than the hood raised up a little bit, but we managed to get it in reverse. It kind of pulls back down, and there's a little bit of damage to the bark, but the tree didn't really care. I tailed it up to where John was, which he was walking, which was probably good for him. So we get up to John, and he's sitting up here with his camera, and he's like taking pictures, and I remember after we stopped, he was like, what did you do to the bumper? And then it, like, as the car shut off, the coolant just went, blah, all over the snow. Oh, yeah. All the coolant's gone. And the bumper. I'll have to modify the hood latch again and straighten it out, but that's fine. I hit that bump. I could not stop. Just came down that ice, and I was like, shit. And I was trying to turn, and it just didn't do anything. After that, we kind of all piled together. We met up with John in his truck, and then he took off, and I started following him a little ways, and then the car started getting a little bit hot. So we were like, all right, let's just play it safe and we'll just ratchet strap chain it home. Yeah, I gotta shut her down. It's getting up to the top. I thankfully had a tow strap in the back of it. It was not super far from where I live. So we figured, we'll just flat tow it. It'll be fine. Done this dozens of times. All right, let's see how I can wrap this thing up around there. I'm gonna probably sneak it around. All right. We got maybe 2 miles down the road, and then I start hearing this like slight like noise. It's like, that's a little strange, but again, I have knobby mud tires on, so didn't think anything really of it. Oh, brakes! Within 30 seconds after that, it was like, and I'm like, okay, something's really going wrong. And then I went to go hit the brakes just to kind of see, maybe it was like something with my brake shoes or something like that, or my parking brake was getting messed up. And then as I hit the brake pedal, it went right to the floor. I hear this thunk, and then the car just goes down like this. We're not, it like completely fell out of the rear axle. I don't know how that happened, but well, I guess we're calling a tow. Sorry, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I've always kind of wanted to experience one of my own tires pass me. I've heard of stories of it happening, and I've never actually experienced it. And I'm pretty thankful that I finally got to experience it in such a perfect, like, controlled area that I wasn't far away or anything like that. Yeah, away this wheel and tire rolls, and I jinxed myself earlier by saying these cars aren't meant to be hauled on a flatbed trailer because it got brought home on a flatbed trailer that night.
Death proof. It's not dying, it still runs. It's still death proof. And we will rebuild.
I mean, I guess the fact that it was the first time I've ever had to actually get a flatbed, get a tow truck home in the years and years and years I've been driving 80s cars as my daily drivers in rain, snow, shine, anything like that. I guess I'll accept one defeat, and that's only just because it was close and you guys were all nearby, so I didn't really want to make you guys wait. But if I was closer, I would have probably just drove home and grabbed another axle shaft with a bearing and slammed it together and drove it home. Because I try to just always drive it because I don't like it defeating me, but sometimes it does. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, the wheel bearing must have failed or something. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control your reaction to things. So my motto pretty much my entire life has always just been, whatever happens, however the cards lay, however the dice roll, whatever your terminology might be, you can't change what is now actively happening in your life. You can only change and only respond accordingly. So the way I look at things is I'd rather just roll with the punches, see what happens, and make the best of it, because I can look back at a moment where I've got 5 people with me in the side of the road in the middle of winter with a Toyota wagon and a broken axle shaft sitting on the side of the road as this is the worst day of my life. Or I can look at it hey, this is one of the coolest things that's ever experienced, and I'm gonna remember this date until I roll into my grave. Breakdowns are gonna happen, especially when you drive an old 80s car off-road that was in a way designed to be off-roaded, but it wasn't really designed to be pushed to the levels that I pushed them to, like Imogene Pass, Pikes Peak, things like that. So I just kind of roll with it and see what happens, and I make the best of every scenario I'm ever in, and the whole thing's the journey, beginning and the end, and everything part in between. Only real unfortunate part about hitting the tree was that car was destined to go to my friend Alex. Alex has always been one of those guys that I can call him and be like, hey, random Tercel popped up 9 hours away in some guy's backyard. He wants $100 for it. Let's go get it. And Alex is always like, let's do this. And so he's been with me on so many of my car adventures that it only felt right to pass the torch of Thunderbucket down to him. Not that it needs to be thrown away or parted out or anything like that, but it more or less served its full purpose for me, being a car that I could learn various different improvements and various different modifications I wanted to make it for overlanding and off-roading specifically. And now that I have this clean car that I got out of Detroit, I want to take everything I learned from that and build this one a little bit better. And because it's so rust-free, I plan on keeping it for hopefully 10, 15 years. All through my life, I've been watching car content, and over the last 5 to 6 years, guys like Roadkill, Vice Grip Garage, Cletus McFarlane, stuff like that really came to be on the YouTube space. And so I'd watch these car YouTubers all the time, fixing up cars, building cars, things like that. And I always find it to be super cool, but it was never really my thing. So I remember the whole time I was going through my first Tercel Spud. We fixed it up. I rebuilt the motor literally 2 weeks before I drove the thing on a 3,000-mile road trip from Bangor, Michigan to Bangor, Maine and back.
It's alive! Look at that, no smoke! It's alive! I did a thing! Maybe. Warming it up right now, gonna go take it for a test track. If I don't explode, yeah, whee!
And the whole time I'm like, man, this would be really cool stuff for YouTube. I know it wouldn't be as big as building a twin turbo LS or as cool as restoring a 1970 Plymouth Cuda. It's not as cool as putting a straight 6 Jaguar engine in a 68 Dodge Charger or anything like that. But to me, they're really, really cool, and I'm really passionate about the cars. So the second car I actually got, I got out of a little small town near Bangor, Michigan. My friend, who was a contractor, was driving down the road and snapped a picture of 2 of them sitting in someone's yard and sent it to me and my friend Alex, who also owns one here in Grand Rapids. After searching on Google Satellite View for multiple nights, a couple hours each night, it's my drug or something like that, I finally found the guy's yard, found where that car was sitting, drove all the way out there, did what I do, knock on the guy's door. Hi, stranger, I'd like to buy your car. I love these cars. And Sure enough, he was like, yep, $500 for the pair. You guys can argue over which one's yours. That whole adventure, I was like, man, this is stuff that like, this is what I crave when I'm watching YouTubers, like something where they're like, look at this cool car. I found it in this really obscure way. Now it's mine, let's rebuild it together. I brought it home and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and I'm gonna start messing with them. And along the way, I'm gonna learn a lot and hopefully teach. If one person watches my video and goes, that's how you fix this random thing, and it keeps that car on the road, boom, I've succeeded in what I wanted to do. It's slowly evolved to, I have almost 3,000 subscribers now, which is nothing crazy, but at the same time, it's a really niche market. So I just want one person to see it and be like, hey, that old Toyota that's been sitting in my yard that I used to drive in the 90s or the early 2000s, I should really go out and get that running again. So if I can do a video on how to change a real wheel bearing, hopefully that can inspire them the confidence to actually go out and work on it themselves, or join our Tercel wagon community on the forum or the Facebook group. They're really cool cars. They aren't making them anymore. Modern cars are such appliances and they're so throwaway. These old cars from, any generation prior to like the mid 2010s, in my personal opinion, are very sustainable and very renewable and rebuildable, and you're able to keep something that's, the labor's already been expended, and keep that going without throwing it all away and just buying a brand new car, which is, a bit of a waste. I don't own anything reliable. The newest car I own is an '87. Literally.